Good time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we are reading through Incorporating Your Ancestors in the House Witch by Aaron Murphy Hiscock. If we haven't met before, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. It is so nice to meet you. Very, very nice to meet you. If you've been here before, it is so lovely to see you back. I am super in love with you guys. Good morning, Christina and Raven and Jenny and Katarina. So lovely to see you guys. I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts in your domain. So if you've not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below in the description. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in, and as you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. And as you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your domain. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert that light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did our morning grounding ritual. If you are interested in more meditations like this one, but maybe a bit more exploratory, you might want to subscribe to my Patreon, where I will be releasing 2 a month to help you on your supernatural and spiritual journey. Until then, you can join me for coffee in the mornings right here on YouTube. Good morning, Spence. So lovely to see you. Now, yesterday I pulled a card from my self-care deck for you guys, and I'd like to do that again today. Yeah, that was yesterday. All right. So yesterday we were warned not to get too materialistic. Stuff is just that. It's just stuff. All right. We got the devil. Let's see what's up. The devil alludes to your negative behaviors and patterns that restrain you from moving forward in life. These are often illusions of imprisonment, where you feel shackled to your problems. However, you have the choice to break free or walk away at any point in time. The devil resides in the depths of doubt, where you give way to your addictions and your fears, almost like staying in a bad relationship because it's familiar. It's time to reevaluate your relationship with the devil. Is this relationship serving your best interests? If not, break free from your shackles. Although not always easy, you have the keys to unlock yourself from your issues. Obsession with materialism and collecting conquests has your head spinning. Check back in with your higher self and align yourself back to your values. I wish I'd gotten that guidance before I ate those 2 donuts for breakfast. Yeah, well. What is up with my hair? What is going on? It's like all falling out of my bun. All out of my bun. All right. Let me clean up my cards here. This, by the way, is the Mystic Mondays deck. It is not a deck for doing full readings. 1-card readings is all you need. All you need. All right. Incorporating your ancestors. Family is one of your connections to life. They are a source of strength as well as something to protect and care for. Living or dead, they contribute to the energy of your home. Acknowledging the contribution of ancestors, be they biological or spiritual, is a way of honoring their contribution to the world in which you live, and also of maintaining continuity of tradition. Expressing your gratitude and respect for them is one way to touch that sacred space symbolized by the hearth. Okay. Sometimes the pages stick together. There's a lot of emotional energy tied up with home-based activity, especially in creating favorite family foods. Quick, I need an old priest, a young priest, a gallon of cooked spaghetti, Merlot marinara, 3 pounds of Parmesan cheese. That's an exorcism? Who passed me the Olive Garden's shopping list? Where was I? Challenge someone on how they prepare a dish considered a family specialty, and you're liable to encounter aggressive defense if not an all-out attack. They may defend their methods and, by extension, those family members from whom they learned them. My mother always did it this way, is something you may often say in the kitchen, whether you're making gravy, rolling nochi, adding a pinch of a certain secret ingredient to a soup or stew, sweeping the floor after scattering salt on it, or soaking linen napkins after use. You absorb a lot of tradition in and around the kitchen simply by being exposed to how someone else performs tasks. And by replicating those techniques, you are in essence maintaining a tradition of sorts. Many cultures honor or worship their ancestors. When you drink water, think of its source, is a Chinese saying that illustrates the impact and presence ancestors can have upon your life and your spiritual practice. The saying suggests that through acknowledging your ancestors, you are not alone, that you come from somewhere. Your ancestors anchor you in the world. Essentially, you owe what you are and what you have to work with to those who came before you. Ancestors are always a part of spiritual hearth's energy. Ancestors are tied into the concept of hearth and home, both as family and as guiding energies. Like the hearth itself, your ancestors are a source of inspiration, energy, and support, a place of safety and restoration for you and your current family. There is no hard and fast rule dictating how to incorporate ancestors into your spiritual practice. Simply remembering them ties the energy into your home and life. Actively honoring them with words or actions further weaves their energy into the wellspring of energy that is maintained by your spiritual hearth. It may be enough for you to know and understand that they have an effect upon you and It may be enough for you to know and understand that they have had an effect upon you and who you are today. If you wish to honor them in more structured fashion, try making an ancestor shrine. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as placing a photograph of a relative who meant a lot to you near the spiritual hearth of your home, or an item that belonged to them, or a small assembly of objects that you associate with your ancestors. Ancestors are not limited to biological relatives either. Spiritual ancestors are people who have somehow shaped your outlook of life and whom you wish to honor or remember in some way. When calling upon the energy of your spiritual hearth, you can wordlessly appeal to the ancestors as well, or speak aloud to them and ask for their support and blessing. Here is a sample prayer to the ancestors for guidance or thanks. Ancestors, thank you for being here with me and my family. Guide us daily and help us to make the right choices. Be our strength and our comfort, and help protect this home. Thank you for your lives and your accomplishments. Ancestors, we thank you. At this point, you may make an offering to them. Offerings are a sign of respect, not necessarily a sign of worship, and can be anything suitable. Ancestor honoring in many neo-pagan paths involves offering a small portion of something a specific ancestor enjoyed in life. But if you are calling upon your ancestors in general, then something like a thimbleful of tea, wine, or the food you are preparing is ideal. More stuff I've unconsciously done, yeah. If you don't know very much about your ancestors, try asking living relatives about their parents or grandparents. They may know stories that reveal hints about the ancestor's personality or activities. Genealogical research is another avenue you may wish to follow if the idea of ancestor energy particularly interests you. Learn as much as you can about ancestors, both biological and spiritual. Let them be a source of inspiration to you. Chapter 4. The Magic of the Cauldron. The cauldron is a symbol found in many cultures and folk tales. Closely associated with the hearth, the cauldron, along with the sacred fire, functions as a central symbol in the practice of hearthcraft and is a focal image in the house witch's spirituality. What is a cauldron? The origin of the word cauldron comes from the Latin caldarium, meaning hot bath, or from caldaria, a cooking pot. And the cauldron is essentially a large metal pot used for cooking over an open fire. The cauldron was, and still is in many countries, an essential vessel in hearthside cooking. It has thus been commonly used throughout the ages until relatively recently. It was often set on a tripod rack or made with feet in order to set it in the embers or next to them, depending on what needed to be cooked. A curved handle was often used to suspend it from the hook in the fireplace over the fire. Like wells, cauldrons are connections to the other world, a place of mysticism, the dead, enlightenment, and a realm of the divine, whence come inspiration. The cauldron may be seen as a symbol of initiation, wherein a symbolic death and rebirth are experienced. The cauldron is generally considered a feminine symbol, like most cup or bowl-shaped dishes. It is also associated with the element of water. At its most basic, the cauldron is associated with the everyday magic of cookery. The combination of ingredients and application of heat to create something new, which is nourishing, therapeutic, or supportive in some way. Yeah, you know. As a result of its practical physical use, the cauldron has become a symbol of abundance, source, warmth, nourishment, and transformation. Transformation and transmutation are two of the most common themes associated with the cauldron in myth and story. To transform is to undergo or initiate change in form or appearance. To transmute, however, is to change in substance and is a term often used in chemistry or alchemy to describe the changing of one element to another. A cauldron not only visibly alters something on the outside, transform, it also alters it on a very basic level, changing its very nature, transmute. Symbolically, the cauldron offers you the opportunity to explore your inner self, the deep, dark well of your emotional nature. It can symbolize the repository of inner wisdom and hidden knowledge. Like the associations with the element of water in Western occult tradition, it can stand for subconscious realm, the source of dreams, intuition, and healing. The cauldron is sometimes associated with the underworld, particularly in classic Greek and Roman iconology and belief. The cauldron suggests the shape of a cave, which was a place often sacred to the chthonic goddesses, as well as the other world, which is often reached through a body of water, according to several cultural mythos. Cauldrons in mythology. Cauldrons have figured largely in mythology, especially Celtic mythology. As you read over the following myths, notice how the cauldron can be seen as a contained, controlled place for transformation. As a ritual vessel, the cauldron serves as a focus for transformative energies. It can represent the source of or the destination. It can symbolize wisdom, change, descent into the unknown, or rebirth. It's a wonderfully adaptive symbol. It is very interesting to note that the cauldron dispenses both wisdom and nourishment in these mythological tales. The parallel between the two suggests that wisdom nourishes the spirit, while food nourishes the body, a balance created between the two. Equally, the spirit must be nourished by inspiration and wisdom, just as the body is nourished by food. The traits of the separate mythological cauldrons tend to be synthesized by virtue of their spiritual... The traits of the separate mythological cauldrons tend to be synthesized by virtue of their similar root symbol, and thus one can encounter references to cauldrons that heal and feed and offer knowledge. All in one. Here are some of the most famous cauldrons and their stories. I didn't know this was going to be a cauldron episode. I apologize. Holy jeez, Louise. The Cauldron of Caradwen. Caradwen is the Welsh goddess of grain and prophecy, generally perceived as a dark crone goddess. The cauldron she guards is the cauldron of the otherworld inspiration and divine knowledge. The most famous appearance of this cauldron is in the story of the birth of Taliesin, one of the most famous poets of the Celtic nation. Caradwen set the boy Gwion Buck to stirring a potion she was brewing in her cauldron for a year and a day, intending the potion to bestow knowledge of all things past, present, and future upon her own son. On the final day, 3 hot drops splashed from the cauldron onto Gwion Buck's thumb, and he instinctively lifted it to his mouth to cool it. With this act, the potion's power transferred to him, rendering the rest of the brew useless. With the acquisition of such knowledge, Gwion Buck knew that Caradwen would pursue him to punish him, and he fled, changing shape into first a hare, then a fish, then a grain of wheat to hide from her. Caradwen did pursue him, changing shape to better hunt him as first a greyhound, then an otter, and then a hen, swallowing the grain of wheat in triumph. Instead of consuming Gwion, however, Caradwen found that she was pregnant and gave birth to Gwion again. She sewed him in a leather bag and threw him into the sea, where he was found by a fisherman who named him Taliesin for his white brow. The Cauldron of Dagda. The Dagda is a father and fertility god of the Irish Tuatha De Danann. His cauldron was known as Ondri, or the Cuar an on Siask, and possessed the power of producing plentiful, abundant food, capable of feeding an army without exhausting itself. A pertinent phrase often associated with Dagda's cauldron is, "No one ever went away from it hungry," an important concept when taken in the context of hearth and hospitality. In some versions of the Dagda's mythology, the cauldron produces food only in proportion with a man's merit. Some sources also attach the power of healing to the cauldron of Dagda. Also key to the precepts of hospitality, the Dagda's cauldron is said to be the resting place of the fiery hot spear of Luch, one of the 4 treasures of Tuatha De Danann. This pairing demonstrates the peaceful and calming nature of the cauldron containing the dangerous and warlike spear. I don't know what that first one was supposed to be, but I see the bread. The Cauldron of Medea. Greek mythology tells us that Medea was a sorceress. When Jason came to Colchis on his quest to acquire the Golden Fleece, Medea, the daughter of King Aeetes of Colchis, who kept the fleece, fell in love with him and promised to help him in return for his promise to marry her and take her with him when he left. Jason agreed, and with Medea's help, he passed each of his challenges. After other encounters, they arrived in Aeolicus, ruled by Jason's usurping uncle Pelias. Medea brought about his death by telling his daughters that she could revive and rejuvenate people by dismembering them and plunging them into her cauldron. Good Lord. She demonstrated this by dismembering an old goat or sheep and throwing the pieces into the cauldron, which was filled with herbs and a magical brew. A young living kid or lamb leapt out of the cauldron. The daughters agreed to do the same to their father, but Medea prepared the cauldron differently, filling it with water and only a few simple herbs. When the daughters dismembered Pelias and threw the pieces into the cauldron without the brew of the herbs and other preparations Medea had made, the plan failed, and Pelias was dead. Medea also used her cauldron at Jason's request to rejuvenate his father Aeson. Among other ritual activities, she combined herbs, flowers, seeds, stones, sand, frost, and parts of an animal known for their vigor and long life. When the olive branch with which she was stirring the potion sprouted leaves and fruit, Medea knew the brew was ready. She cut the throat of the old man and let all his blood run out, then poured the brew into his mouth and the wound on his throat. He grew 40 years younger. Medea was the granddaughter of Helios, the god of the sun, as well as the niece of the sorceress Circe, or Circe, I don't know, or Kirke. I think it's supposed to be pronounced Kirke. Perhaps most importantly, she was a priestess of Hecate, a goddess of the underworld, and it was primarily from her that she drew her power. The cauldron is a critical element of Medea's rejuvenation magic, which suggests that it belongs to the tradition of cauldrons that restore life. The Cauldron of Bran. From the annals of Welsh mythology comes the Cauldron of Bran and the Blessed, known as the Cauldron of Rebirth. Bran the Blessed gave it as a consolatory gift to his new brother-in-law, Matholwch, the King of Ireland, who married Bran's sister Branwen, and whose horses were mutilated in anger by Bran's half-brother Efnisien. The cauldron was considered part of Branwen's dowry and was taken back to Ireland when the two returned. Bran's cauldron was the ability... Bronze cauldron has the ability to resurrect the dead. Immersing a man in the cauldron renders him alive and in peak physical condition by the next day, but those who are resurrected cannot talk. This is because they have been to the land of the dead and may not speak of what they saw there to the living. Unfortunately for Bronn, the cauldron was used against him and his men when they later found themselves at war with the Irish. The King of Ireland repeatedly resurrected his slain warriors and returned them to battle. Bronn's half-brother eventually broke the cauldron, sacrificing himself to do so. The cauldron was said to have origins in Ireland under a lake. This further reinforces the rebirthing tradition. For the cauldron, like the lake, is a point of connection or interaction between the world of humans and the other world. Oh, my leg is asleep. Hold on. Wakey, wakey leg. Oh, the Cauldron of Onwin. The quest for the Cauldron of Onwin is chronicled in the Welsh poem Prydau Onwin, The Spoils of Onwin, from the Book of Taliesin, which dates from somewhere between the Book of Taliesin, between the 9th and 12th centuries. Onwin is the Welsh otherworld. One of the functions of the Celtic otherworld is as a land of the dead. King Arthur and his companions traveled to Caer City, a fortress on an island ruled by the Lord of Onwin, and therefore they essentially traveling to the land of the dead on this quest to obtain the cauldron belonging to the Lord of Death. The cauldron is enameled with flowers and studded with pearls or diamonds, cooled by the pure breath of 9 maidens who protect it. One of the magical properties of this cauldron is that it will not boil the food of a coward or one who is forsworn. It is so well protected that only Arthur and his 6 other men return from this quest. They secure the cauldron, but at great cost. A cauldron belonging to the Lord of Death can be assumed to be a cauldron like that of Bronn the Blessed, one that rejuvenates or restores life. The Cauldron of Brigid. The Irish goddess Brigid, paralleled by Brids in Scotland and Brigantia in Britain, among others, is sometimes said to possess or carry a cauldron. I didn't know that. This is a logical development from the extant Brigid myths, for Brigid is not only a goddess of inspiration, she is also a goddess of healing, associated with wells and water, and a goddess of fire and smithcraft. Makes sense. The cauldron is a water symbol and is closely associated with fire for its connection to hearth and home, and also smithcraft, the method by which cauldrons are made. Brigid is a goddess of 3 aspects, meaning there are 3 separate goddesses, each called Brigid, governing the realms of healing, poetry, and smithcraft. The smith aspect is known as Begoimne, which means woman of the smithy. Begoimne was said to have a smithy under Crogan Hill in Ireland, where, among other things, she forged cauldrons wherein the future was stored. Oh my god, here we go into the Norse names. Ugh. Odrerir, the Norse cauldron of inspiration. In Norse mythology, Odin drank magical blood from a cauldron to obtain wisdom. He transformed himself into a serpent to drink all the poet's mead in the cauldron Odrerir. Odrerir is sometimes interpreted as the cauldron itself, as well as the mead of poetry inside it. The Prose Edda describes the blood of the god Kvasir, who was originally created from the saliva of all gods, being blended with honey in the cauldron Odrerir by dwarfs. The resulting liquid was the mead drunk to transform the man, drinking it into a skald, a scholar poet. Oh my God. Come on, leg, open up. I think I need to walk around for a second. Hold on. I just need to stand up. Come on. It does not want to wake up. Is up with the flow in my body. Okay, I think it's better. Sorry about that. I'm here, I swear. Oh. Okay, so about those Norse names. After bargaining for it by exchange of work and being denied his fair payment, Odin tricked the keepers of this cauldron using guile and disguise. And with 3 swallows, he drained the cauldron of the magical brew. In this way, he became the god who dispenses inspiration to poets, in a sense liberating the cauldron from the giant Suttungur, who jealously guarded it. This mead was also used by the Valkyries to restore life, just as slain warriors who were taken to Valhalla. Yeah, the numbness. I needed to shake the numbness out. Using the cauldron in hearthcraft. Here we go, Spence. If there is one tool that anyone following a hearth and home-based spiritual path should have, it should be a cauldron or a Dutch. I would love to use the Dutch oven as a cauldron. I only use the Dutch oven for food, though. For all its symbolism and practical association with the hearth throughout history, the cauldron embodies so many of the goals and areas considered important in hearthcraft. Abundance, nourishment, spiritual rejuvenation, introspection, and wisdom, to name only a few. As hearthcraft is also about practicality, the cauldron isn't simply a symbol. It can be used in everyday activity as well. If you so desire. If you so desire. Yeah. The modern kitchen cauldron is known as a Dutch oven, available with and without legs, depending on indoor or outdoor use, and made of cast iron or enamelware. I have a cast iron Dutch oven with, it doesn't have legs, it just says little feet. The ring. I know the feeling. I have pots or cauldrons, yeah. 5 stock pots I've accumulated, yeah. If you acquire a cauldron solely for ritual or spiritual use, it doesn't have to be cast iron. I disagree. Now I want to tour, a video tour of your stock pots. After we move, I want to do a kitchen tour. I have lots of stuff. If you use your cauldron for fire, I strongly recommend using cast iron. I use mine for fire. Burning incense, burning sigils, anything that involves. I don't put candles in it because I don't want to clean out I'll also make I don't know. I would love a cauldron at some point. I am all about costume aesthetic. So is it about the aesthetic that you are interested in, or is it about the practicality? Because a Dutch oven is freaking awesome, especially if you're making like lots of stew or chili or soup. We use a Dutch oven when camping to make like cinnamon buns, and you can cook just about anything in a Dutch oven, actually, now that I think about it. I collect cake pans, cast iron, antique tools, fancy gadgets. Some of which work and some of which do not. Am I right? An enamel lodge Dutch oven is the most practical kitchen cookware you'll ever have. You don't need a cauldron, but they look so cool. I have like a little, so my cauldron is only like yay big. I got it. Yeah, it's meh. It's nice and little, you know, like it's perfect for the center of my altar. And when it was sold to me, the merchant was like, oh, you can make all kinds of like little potions and stuff like that. And you wouldn't need a lot of ingredients. For camping, you don't want enameled, right? But for dealing with anything past a grill, you want to get a regular cast iron pan, just to make it look nicer longer. Baby cauldrons. I have been window shopping on Amazon and Etsy. Baby cauldron is, I find it extremely useful for my ritual work. It is kind of like the center point of my ritual work is my little cauldron. Mine is straight up cast iron, so I could get the iron in my food. It is an actual thing, yes. Also makes good popcorn. You can definitely make popcorn in a Dutch oven. A cast iron is the heat resistance. Granted, I once shattered a cast iron pan by heat curing it. I didn't know you could do that, but hi, Nicole. All right, where were we? If you acquire a cauldron's, it doesn't have to be cast iron, which I disagree. Okay. While hearthcraft tends to be very practical and doesn't specify having a set of tools exclusively for ritual use, you may want to have two cauldrons. One heavy cast iron Dutch oven type for cooking, and a smaller, lighter one for spiritual work as a symbol on a shrine or altar. Oh, just like I've done. After all, lugging a 25-pound Dutch oven around can be quite taxing. I suck at keeping my cast iron properly oiled and seasoned. We do it just about every time. It's just like basic maintenance. I am wildly late, but I'm here. Watching on my TV, I forgot I could comment on my phone as well. Ha 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 ha. Today has been a day. So lovely to see you all. Yay! I'm so glad you're here. I figured you were watching on TV or like you were around, but just not participating in the conversation, which is fine. Oh, this leg keeps falling asleep. There's something about the way I'm sitting is what it is. It's like starting in my foot and spreading up my leg. Let's see. When looking for a cauldron for spiritual work, keep in mind that you're going to want something that you can clean easily, as well as something that won't break or take up too much room. You may want to keep it out on your altar or shrine, for example, to use for offerings or to serve as a candle holder. I don't like putting wax in mine. A tea light in a small cauldron offers the image and feel of a need fire without the mess. Or you might use your cauldron as a focus for small honoring rituals as a visual focus during meditation. Okay. I'm also watching from Mr. Poe's account on the TV, so double the views! Woo! In Chapter 6, you will learn how to create a kitchen shrine. As a part of that shrine, you can use a small cauldron to hold a small amount of salt. The salt in your shrine or altar cauldron can be used for many things. The salt can absorb negative energy in the space. If placed on the shrine with this intention, the salt will absorb negative energy, but don't use that salt for cooking, as representative of the earth in a ritual or for the purifying of anything. Offer a pinch of this salt at the beginning or end of every day to the spirits of your hearth, or add a pinch of this salt to your cooking and visualize it banishing anything negative that lingers, or as the catalyst that combines and binds the desired energies already present. Oh, a double, did I? Small iron, okay. Having a small symbolic cauldron is a practical way to incorporate the energies associated with it into your home without having to store a huge cast iron pot somewhere. Small iron cauldrons, small enough to hold in the palm of your hand up to the size of 2 fists together, are easily placed somewhere about your workspace without cluttering it up. I got mine through Panther, which sells like lodge stuff for camping and whatnot. One for business and one for hecking around. Or 2 for either, whichever pleases the day, yeah. Uses for your cauldron. Be imaginative. The cauldron can be used in several different ways. Here are some suggestions to get you thinking about how you can involve the symbol of the cauldron into your spiritual practice and your daily work in and around the hearth. Use your cauldron as a candle holder by slipping a tea light into it or filling it half full of sand or non-clumping kitty litter and placing a votive on top. Push the votive slightly into the sand so that it is steady before lighting it. Put a layer of sand or non-clumping kitty litter in the bottom of your cauldron and place incense sticks in it. I don't use sand, I just put the incense in it. Inserting the base of the stick firmly into the sand. Mound the sand around it if you have to in order to keep it upright. If your incense is the wooden stick type, you can also snap some of the bare stick off. Yeah. Place a bit of food in your cauldron as an offering and place it on your shrine or altar. Put a pinch of whatever herbs or spices you are using to season your food in the cauldron or on the shrine or altar. The best cast iron is accumulated secondhand. Absolutely. Proper seasoning when brought into your house will attune it to you and your oven the best. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Usually secondhand, especially around here, it's all rusted, it's super weak. Like, so you gotta be careful about where you get, what condition you get your cast iron. You can rejuvenate it, but it'll take some elbow grease. Place your cauldron in the center of your kitchen and visualize all the stagnant and negative energy spiraling into it from wherever it may be hiding. Corners, behind the fridge, under the stove, under the sink, and so on. I keep trying, but it seems like my issue with sewing machines or gardening. Keep trying to what? When you need to calm yourself, set the cauldron on the table in front of you and breathe deeply to settle yourself. Visualize the darkness at the bottom of the cauldron being a portal to deep, soothing, cool energy. As you inhale, sense that energy flowing up to you. Feel the soothing energy fill you, relaxing tension, calming anger or fears. Do this until you feel calm again. What I do is I use cone incense, put it in the cauldron, I wear something hooded, or I use a scarf, like a veil, and kind of like loom over it to trap the smoke and take a smoke bath, basically, to like cleanse my spirit. And that is, so when working with Roman gods, with working with deities in general, I like to smell good. So it is both a cleansing thing and also a make me smell good thing. When you need to energize yourself, set the cauldron on the table in front of you, and we read this already. No, we haven't. Visualize the darkness at the bottom of the cauldron being a portal to a vibrant, joyful energy. As you inhale, sense the energy flowing up to you. Feel the energizing energy fill you, awakening your cells and energizing your body and mind. Do this until you feel ready to take on whatever task you have been preparing for. Properly seasoning my cast iron, I end up with rust spots and have to use Brillo pads. Oh no! Pretty constantly. It's a little embarrassing, or it's all sticky because it's overly oiled. I don't, it's very rare when I let water, like, I let my cast iron, like, touch my sink. I'll use it to, like, pour out, stuff. But Brillo pads and, the steel mesh is like terrible for it. Don't do that. patience and practice, and watch a lot of Alton Brown videos about it. Actually, yeah, he has a lot of videos about cast iron. Bring in flowers from your garden or that you have collected on a walk through your neighborhood. stealing flowers from my neighborhood. Place them in the cauldron on your altar or shrine. Remove them at the end of the day. I could see doing that for like Ostara, when flowers are a thing. You may need to strip the cast iron, start over again, building new seasoning. I think so. Okay, cauldron as a meditative focus. Oh, we have 4 minutes left. Let's wait for that. It looks like... Oh, there's caring for a cast iron. Blessing. And then hearth and home deities. So we will continue talking about cast iron tomorrow. Salt is the best way to clean it out. Yep, I agree. If you do something super saucy, we'll fill it with water and boil it while we scrape. Yep. And it's empty. We put it... Yeah. Like, the only time when I use water is to boil the sticky stuff out of the bottom. It's not often I use soap either, now that I think about it. Yeah, I don't use soap in my cast iron. We put it back on the stove for it to dry on high heat until it's smoking and dry. Give it a brief re-oil. Heat until the oil is smoking. Drip the oil out over the trash. Put it in the oven at like 350 degrees. Upside down. Part of the key to making cast iron not get that dirty is to make sure it is screaming hot before you put the food in it. I was bad at letting it get hot at first. Oh my fuck. So yeah, Katerina, I think you would benefit from having a tiny cast iron cauldron with wheat on it as a center point for an altar for you. I think it's really easy to kind of use that as like your spiritual hearth in a place where private space is limited. Oh. And then there was the unfortunate incident of chicken soup being left in it for weeks because I got sick. That was a treat, and the Dutch oven hasn't totally recovered. Oh. That may be a case of stripping and starting over. Yeah. Oh, what a nightmare. Try again. Yeah. Okay. So just to give you guys a heads up, Friday I released a video on local spirits. Yesterday I released a video on non-local spirits. And then today, in an hour, I will be releasing a video on working with deities. But I'll be hosting some free witchy training on how to work with spirits. It's only going to be available for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today is the last day. Maybe, I don't know. I might leave it up forever. Tell me what you want. So subscribe to my channel now if you haven't already. Yeah. Yeah, scorched earth, that Dutch oven. For real. Okay, I gotta wrap up. If you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see what's in the rest of this book, hit subscribe and maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that YouTube might notify you. If you are interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon, which is linked in the description. I also have an affiliate link. Thank you, Spence, in the description as well if you would like to follow along with the book. I will catch you guys on the flip side.